weird feedback from me or anything, are you?
No, it's fine. And we are now on the air.
And yes, welcome to SuggestCast. We're at number 16.
Yay.
My name is Barry, and
Your
there
name is what? What? Wait, what's your name?
Barry. Wait, am I still Lewis?
No, that's okay. I'll be Lewis. I'm Lewis Powell.
Okay. And today we're talking about like a whole bunch of stuff with Lewis Powell and Vincent and Matt. And I guess I could do Barry. I'll start by passing the table over to Lewis or whoever.
All right, thank you, Thank you, Barry. So the things we're discussing from last time are Who Censored Roger Rabbit, the works of MC Escher, the Mountain Goats album All Hail West Texas, and the Usenet post Trolling for Dollars by Kaibo. Does anybody want to start with a particular one of these?
Let me ask, did anyone actually manage to read Who Censored Roger Rabbit this week?
I did read it.
Anyone else?
I didn't manage it.
I did.
We might want to hold off on that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I couldn't find a good plot summary of it either.
Yeah, I had seen some descriptions of it online before, and they were not at all complete.
You know, the plot's actually fairly convoluted if you go step by step through what happens. So that my purpose in suggesting it will be defeated if people have read only the sort of plot summaries online, which are basically, it's not like the movie, and they're comic strip characters instead of cartoons. That's
Right.
about as much detail you get. So we'll
And
say.
I wanted a book that was like the movie. This sucks.
Yeah. So I'm off the hook tonight.
All right.
Congratulations.
Dude's yelling for me right now.
All right. So, all right. Did anybody read the Trolling for Dollars post?
I did.
Great.
I skimmed over it. I haven't scrolled down and read everything.
Yeah. Well, I was just recommending that one post on that page, not all the posts on it.
So the first one. Okay, then
I
yeah.
mean, you can read the others if you want, but
I thought it
can't
was the whole
vouch
page.
for them. You what?
I thought it was the whole page.
No, it's just the post with the subject line "Trolling for Dollars"
Wait, no. It says
from June 15th, 1997.
Oh.
Yeah, I think most of the other posts on that page are kind of nonsense.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of complain about. Like, what the hell is going on here? This is definitely something written in 1997, though.
Yes.
There it is.
Oh, and the first one here is actually from 1994.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Internet.
We're referring to that one, but nevertheless, that's cool too.
Yeah, I was just recommending that one about like the rules for trolling and the 4 types of responses.
Yeah, I can't quite find the link to it.
Oh, here, let me send you the link while we wait on Vincent returning.
Kibo, that's it.
I pronounce it Kaibo. I'm not sure if that's right. Alright, so while we wait on Vincent getting back, what about the works of MC Escher?
I like MC Escher. He is,
Yeah,
I'd say, friend, but I don't really know him. But
I like the works of MC Escher, but I have to admit, until reading out what the things that we'd suggested from last week were, I had forgotten that that was one of the suggestions, so I did not particularly review his works over the last week.
Oh, yeah,
I did review his works from his apparently official website today, which has painfully low-resolution versions of his work.
Oh, that's a pity, though. I mean, it's supposed to going to be things that I've seen before, so that might still work for just jogging my memory.
Yeah.
I liked his Metamorphosis ones, where he'd have some pattern or picture of like interlocking birds transforming into just
The
a
turn of the
chessboard and then turning into a cityscape, going through much more changes as it goes from left to right. I really loved those as a kid. Just stare at them.
yeah, the ones that look like Q-birds. I like those ones. I'm sure they inspired Q-bird.
Yeah. Oh, I
Can't
I
think
hear
of any
Vincent's
other
daughter
scenario.
crying. Now, because I've seen MC Escher's work before, I'm not sure that I'm in the best position to know what new thing we might be getting out of it. Was there a particular thing that you had in mind in suggesting it?
Not really. I just figured it sounded good at the time. There was no you know extracurricular wholesome thing that I was suggesting that we would get out of it or some underlying message.
Well, I do like that he has a very kind of mathy approach to art, and yet makes much more visually compelling art than you might think, given that way of describing him.
Yeah. I guess I want to sound like a real art guy that read MC Escher's website, but that stuff wasn't in his early work at all. It was,
No, really.
yeah.
No, what was his early work like?
I don't know, just kind of woodprint or woodcut stuff. Let's look at it.
Nice.
Yeah, I have the site up now, and yeah, I see what you mean. That I would not have guessed that this was MC Escher's work.
Yeah, it's not really recognizable as Escher unless you.
Right. Well,
have one of
okay. I'm
these.
scrolling down a bit, and some of these do have
Yeah, I mean,
a little
obviously
bit of his.
self-portrait.
I'm seeing a 1922 woodcut called Eight Heads that looks very Escher-like. It's in their early work section, but I think it's one of the later things in that.
Yeah, but if you skip to the next section, his stuff doesn't immediately continue with that theme. He sort of goes back to more normal-looking, but still obviously skilled woodcuts. And then,
Right.
let's see.
Looking at it. It's a St. Francis woodcut that's profile of St. Francis meeting with a lot of birds all shown in kind of Dr. Seuss-like style on some of them.
Well, and he also did a castle in the
Interesting.
air, like that Magritte painting
Huh.
that we all love.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's floating over an ocean. Ooh.
Yeah, just got a lot of their like lithograph poster type scenes. Yeah, I don't know that I'd ever really looked at his early work before. That's that's kind of interesting. That's a new thing for me.
Maybe that's what I was suggesting. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, stuff. Okay, like the first famous drawing of Escher that I recognize is the hand with reflecting sphere from 1935. Like, I've seen that all around,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I recognize anything before that.
I sure don't recognize that hand with the pine cone.
Of course, this isn't really I guess, a comprehensive collection of his work, but
Well, no, he made a huge number of things. Now, on this gallery site, if you go to the transformation prints, that gives you the sort of things of his that I've found most compelling.
Well,
These are the things that I could stare at endlessly.
Yeah.
Looking at, like, Metamorphosis 3. Just starts out with just the word metamorphose, and then more of that word come in, they form an interlocking grid. Then it's into a chessboard, then the squares turn into diamonds, and goes through dozens of transformations like that. As a kid, I would draw things of that nature, just inspired by him.
yeah, I mean, he certainly picked a theme and then made good on it.
Yeah, skull's cool.
What's that?
That's Barry.
It's an animal.
Yeah, it does look like an animal, doesn't it?
You look
That's Barry for you.
It's a witch. It's a witch.
It's all red.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was
Check
drawing
out your number.
Nose.
a zebra at the time, I think. I'm not really.
It's a nose.
It's a, yeah.
Like a zebra, but red?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the intent. Never knew.
In his own hangout.
Question out of the blue like this.
I think I got briefly dropped from the call there. Does anyone have anything else to say about M.C. Escher and/or his work?
Can you hear me okay if I talk here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's not a lot of echo or anything. I didn't get to hear any of the conversation up to this point. I will say I was interested in the lesser-known works of M.C. Escher that I took a look at. I tried to go through all of his work that I could find, and I thought the suggestion was kind of a waste of time when it was given, because we're all familiar with M.C. Escher, and M.C. Escher's style is pretty well known. Like, I think we already use M.C. Escher as a reference point, you know. But in looking through some of his old work, and I actually kept some of it open on the computer so I could refer to it, but now I'm kind of stuck in the other room on my phone. But there was stuff in there that reminded me of, like, Jim Woodring stuff, you know, when I was trying to explain stuff that was special about the Frank book. I think it was there in M.C. Escher first. And there's stuff that... You want me to change the channel, Jude? Okay. I mean, there was stuff that if I hadn't known it was M.C. Escher's and that it predated Edward Gorey, I would have described it as Gorey-esque. There was stuff that reminded me all kinds of other artists that came shortly after M.C. Escher that I didn't realize had been inspired by M.C. Escher. So I think it was a worthwhile suggestion, if only in that things that I referenced with other sources, maybe I should be referencing back all the way to M.C. Escher instead. I don't know, though. If you dilute the term, like Escherian or whatever the adjective form of Escher is, too much, then you kind of lose the main point of it, which is usually like the impossible objects or the sort of optical illusion type works that he's best known for. But
yeah, or
really, he just had a lot of incredible stuff.
tessellations.
Yeah. But I was
interesting.
pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a good suggestion.
Yeah, I said before that I had actually forgotten about this suggestion until reading the things off on there today. And now I'm really regretting not having taken more time to just go through some of his work. it sounds like there's a lot more out there than I'd realized. I knew the guy was prolific, but I don't think I'd realized like the range of style that he had.
Yeah, it turns out he had a whole career before he did those impossible building paintings. He didn't jump straight into that. It's a long and painful process.
Yeah, well,
But
yeah, so I think I'm going to give this suggestion a thumbs up, and I'm going to try to actually follow through on doing it. I see Vincent also gives a thumbs up here. Matt, Barry?
Well, I might as well give it a thumbs up.
Alright.
yeah, I'd give it a thumbs up.
Alright. So I have a unanimous thumbs up for MC Escher. Next, let's do the Mountain Goats album, the one titled All Hail West Texas. Who here listened to it?
I listened to it. Well, I think I listened to it. Lewis said there were 2 versions of it, but I think I listened to the first one that he linked.
Yeah, I listened to a YouTube playlist that claimed to be this album. Hopefully that was right.
Right. Well, I was going to try to, claim ignorance that the other version has like 5 or 6 more tracks on it, because
really?
like when I finished up the album, I went to the Wikipedia page and I saw that there were potentially 5 or 6 more tracks I would have to listen to, and I decided to listen to
there are bonus tracks on the 2013 reissue.
Yeah.
I think what I listened to was the older one with just 14 tracks.
Which is the one he suggested?
Okay. Good, so I did that right.
Because he said it was only like 30-something minutes long, and
It was more. It was 40-something minutes long when I did it.
Like my initial reaction on hearing it was like, this sounds like a Californian guy singing about West Texas, and then it turns out that's exactly what it is.
I feel like he's not actually from Texas or anything.
Well, it says in the wiki page that he's the band's from California. So
Yeah, he might have spent time in Texas.
he may have, but I don't know.
Okay, I'm looking up John Darnell, and no, there's a long list of places he's lived, and none of them are Texas.
If I had to sum up the album in one word, it would probably be unmemorable.
Yeah, same for me. I listened to the whole thing twice, and I never really got to anything in it that made me excited to be listening to it.
Yeah, they all sound kind of the same.
They
Maybe I'm not
weren't
really
especially
listening.
bad. I mean,
I found it kind of painful to listen to.
Yeah.
It was like, I just don't want to listen to this anymore. I don't know if you, when you were a young man, if you were in high school or maybe
I was
your
in
early
high school as a young man.
had decided to record musical recordings with your friends on some sort of low-grade tape recorder, and that's exactly what this sounds like, and I understand that that's intentional, but I don't know, that's just not a pleasing sound for me to hear. And I don't know if it's just because of my personal experience with having recorded terrible songs, or if it really just does sound awful.
See, I've had that experience with the lo-fi recording and the lousy recording, and I mean, this is the kind of stuff that really appeals to me, though. Like when I started listening to this album and I realized what it was, I got pretty excited because I kind of like the idea of someone just sitting down with a tape recorder and making a song without, the intervention of studio people and producers and stuff. Just it's like independent comics or independent movies or anything else. It's not like it's universally good, but I like the idea of it. And I listened to the first song and I was really into it, and I got to the second song and I think I was still kind of into it, but by the end of it, it was really grating on me by the end.
It
Like,
was painful to listen to, wasn't it?
yeah, well, I wouldn't say it really got. It would have been painful to pay attention to. As background music, it's not. It's not so obnoxious that makes you focus on it and dislike it, but it's hard to pay attention to. It gets rather monotonous, and it doesn't seem like the guy behind it made much of an effort to write songs or to come up with melodies or anything. They all kind of sound like the same thing, which is he just starts strumming on his guitar and vaguely singing lines, but it's just kind of like, I knew a girl and she had a problem, and the problem was serious, and it made us emotional, and the emotions I felt were the emotions of a man who knows a girl with a serious problem. You know, it's kind of like he just made it up right before he started recording, or was making it up as he went along. There wasn't much in the way of melody there. And
yeah. I think there were some pretty good lines in there about there were like flashes of brilliance for, describing a really horrible situation, but I can't remember what any of them are.
Yeah, when I was listening to it, a couple times I thought to myself, oh, that was kind of a neat hook in that one, but I cannot now remember what any of those songs were.
After I listened to the album, I went and just started reading the lyrics, and as poetry, I kind of had the same experience of just reading through the lyrics, where I read the first song through it. It's like, that's pretty good. That's well written. I get to the second one, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just musically this guy's, he's not a great composer or musician, but, he's got some fantastic lyrics here. But then I started to experience the same thing, where I get around song 4 or 5, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, more of the same shit. Come on, buddy, you got to change it up a little bit. And so by the end, I was just kind of skimming through. Again, it was hard to actually pay attention, to focus on the lyrics, because they got so monotonous.
That makes me think, because I was kind of really happy when they got to that one song that has the Casio keyboard, and I was like, wow, he's using a Casio keyboard.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
And then but it's only 4 minutes long, but it gets old so fast.
Well, yeah, see, you've been eating all these meals with just one ingredient, and then he adds a spice. That's
right, but it's like really near the end of the album, and then it never comes back.
Hi, Lewis. You've joined when we've just been talking about how we didn't like that Mountain Goats album.
Actually, I have to say that I liked it. At first, I didn't know what to expect when I went to listen to it, and but as I got to the second or third track, I kind of liked the flow of it, and it was, I think it just sounded aesthetically good, and as I listened to more and more of it, I wasn't really focusing on it, but it just, it played well, and it kind of reminded me of a little bit of other lo-fi stuff, I can't really make comparisons, but maybe the Van Morrison, tracks where he had contractual obligations, so he made songs about how you have ringworm, and he sang about whatever the heck he wanted, and songs about there was a song called Dum Dum George, where he sings about how George is a dum dum, and then there was yet another song called where he was looking for his royalty check in the sky, and he's waiting. He's not going to expect it, and it wasn't at all like that, but I think it captured the spirit of that. And,
well, that sounds better, because that's more relatable. We've all had ringworm, but very few of us have been to West Texas.
That's
Yeah.
true. And we are all waiting for the royalty check in the sky.
And George is an idiot.
Yeah. Dumb dumb George.
One of those human universals. Oh,
Yeah, so what's the deal?
I did like the first song a bit. The best ever death metal band in Denton. I liked the very non-death metal style of it, like singing "Hail Satan" in the same way everything else is sung on the album.
I wonder whether we liked it because it's better than the other songs, or just because it was the first song, so we hadn't gotten tired of it yet. Like if that had
That's a
been
good
the
question.
last song.
Well, you
I
said
kind
that
of
you
feel
did
like the
listen
songs
to
are
it,
pretty much interchangeable.
or you had the same
I think
with the
lyrically
with
there's
the
something more interesting there with the Hail Satans. Like that stands out more.
Yeah, and it's a good line too, because it's not. I think the song is not as ironic as it appears at first glance, like with the title and the Hail Satan. It's not so much that it's ironic as it just has a different meaning behind it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm that. It's not like he's not. Like, you would expect someone to write this song about the best death metal band from some shitty band, that it's just going to be about these kids in this lame band that actually stinks, and then if you say "Hey, Hail Satan" at the end, it's just a joke about pretending like you're a death metal fan when you're not. But this was more about like how those kids got their dreams crushed, and they were put upon by the world, and so when he's saying "Hail Satan" at the end, it's more about encouraging, like hail your dreams, your aspirations, whatever, or hail them, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was well done. I think that probably was a standout song, regardless of where you put it. Although I think if it had been at the end, I probably would have stopped listening carefully enough to have really noted what the song was about.
Same here. I think I'd be feeling more ground down by then. So I really like the Mountain Goat song Palm Quarter Yajna, and listening to these songs gave me the same feeling I get when I listen to pretty much anything by them, which made me want to go listen to Palm Quarter Yajna instead.
So what's Lewis Powell? What was the idea? Why did we listen to this?
Lewis, you're muted right now, by the way. You're
may
still
actually be
muted.
accident. He wasn't muted, and then he muted himself, so he may have gone to the bathroom or fall asleep.
Oh. Well, he doesn't need to mute himself for those things.
Yeah, it'd be like Ringo.
I mean, we don't have... Oh, wow, this says we have 2 viewers right now.
Fantastic.
That's gotta be a bug somewhere.
Don't scare him away, man.
Well, do we wait to see what the reason behind it was, or we just...
Oh, Lewis, are you back?
Yes.
Alright, so how much did you hear of our complaints about this album?
I actually only heard from Barry saying that he liked things about it in comparison. I don't know how positive Barry's comments were, but Barry was saying something about it reminded him of some other lo-fi stuff, but it wasn't quite the same as the other lo-fi stuff. I kind of gathered that people felt like the whole album was sort of samey.
Yeah, and kind of unmemorable.
Wow. Okay.
I would listen to it again.
Things that people did mention as high points were the first song, the one about hailing Satan, and one song later on where a Casio keyboard comes in, and that breaks up things a little bit.
It's kind of like in the movie Empire by Andy Warhol, where it's like someone walks on frame during part of it or something. What is it? Whatever it is.
Wait, which song has the...
I don't remember. They all kind of blur together for me.
I think it was Dallas Blues. That's the Casio.
Yeah.
Or it's a keyboard. We don't know.
The other reactions we had, I mentioned that, like most Mountain Goat songs,
that part.
these made me...
We
Okay.
love Got it.
And Matt said he felt like this was written by like some kid in California who had not been to West Texas. And that seems to be accurate.
I guess he wasn't a kid when he wrote it. That's the only inaccurate part.
I didn't say kid. Ben added that.
Oh.
I editorialized a bit.
Okay. While attributing it to Matt.
Yes.
Realized on Matt's behalf.
Well, I can't editorialize on my own behalf. That's a conflict of interest.
Wait, so nobody liked the second song?
Which was the second song?
The
Fall of the Star High School running back. How did that one go?
It was like a story about a kid who was a good football player, but then he like blew out his back or his knee or something, and so he started selling drugs.
Well, that sounds depressing.
Yeah, this is a very depressing album. I mean, it's not the most depressing Mountain Goats album. It's Get Lonely. That's a really depressing Mountain Goats album. This one is more uplifting, because right after the two sad songs at the beginning, you get the one about making new friends, and the girl who flew in from into Dallas-Fort Worth from sunny Taipei. Okay, so where does that leave us right now? Where are we?
I guess wondering what's interesting about the album.
Yeah, why did you recommend it?
Why did I recommend it?
Did you recommend it because you like it?
No. I mean, that's almost certainly part of why I recommended it, because... but no, I have not heard other music that I can categorize as quite like it.
In being kind of lo-fi?
No, I've heard other lo-fi things, I guess, but they didn't... I don't know. Sometimes I suggest things on SuggestCast because I hope the discussion will help bring out why it is that I feel like there's something special about it.
Mm-hmm.
Usually Vincent says things that help illuminate, even though he says them in like derogatory ways. He's like, this is stupid because, and I'm like, yeah, but that's the thing that I like about it, I guess.
Yeah, you missed him singing a parody of this type of music.
Oh, okay, I'll go back and watch it later.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I'll bet. Vincent has a command of voice.
We can link you to the minutes and seconds later if you like.
Yeah. So I can't really articulate why it is that I feel like this album is special. It's like, so among Mountain Goats albums, I feel very strongly about many of them as of like 10 months ago and for the past 10 months continuously. And
Right.
it's like going into the future. And like, there's an album that I think I probably listen to more often. That's the one that I like started on. It was less lo-fi. It was a studio record. But this one, like, if somebody were to ask me like to pick out the album that best represented, like, I don't know, what the deal is with the Mountain Goats, this is the album that I would point to, not the one that I maybe listen to more. I don't think I have anything super enlightening to say about why I picked it. Usually I sort of, like, things that are said in the conversation resonate with what I was thinking when I recommended stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss all the discussions of the other things, or did you guys start with the Mountain Goats?
We started with MC Escher, and then we did this album.
Were people mean to MC Escher?
No, actually, that went kind of interestingly. You should listen to it later.
I plan.
It got a unanimous thumbs up.
Interesting. Uh-oh. This is going to be, I think, one of the times when I don't get a unanimous thumbs up.
I think so. I'm giving this a thumbs down.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Gotta give it a thumbs down.
Okay. Matt?
It really did not do anything. Well, okay, you're not gonna like this, but if you wanted to refer to something like a musical album that was completely forgettable in almost every
God
way.
damn it, Matt. God, here we go. Every time.
No.
Here. Okay, I'll give it a. You son of a. Just okay. Do what you gotta do.
This is a great example of a thing suggested on SuggestCast.
I don't even know if it's a good example of that, really. Like, if somebody was like, what sorts of things do you suggest on SuggestCast, I don't think you'd list this.
It's a great example of the second thing discussed on SuggestCast number 16.
Yeah,
It's an okay.
It's like the paradigm defining example.
Yeah.
its most forgettable album. I don't remember which one it was. I guess I'll still give it a thumbs down just to appease the Vincent. I was intending to give it a thumbs down in the first place. So
But you don't need an example to refer back to explain to people the concept of a forgettable album.
That's what I liked about it. He sounded so sincere when he said it. But I think he's playing us all on that. And yes, I do give it a thumbs up because I don't personally know the reason why I liked it. I'd only listened to it once, and I expected I expected less, and I got a little more. So I might even listen to another album or something.
Awesome.
And that's that.
All right.
Well, then my secret plan to get more people to listen to the Mountain Goats had at least some success.
Yeah, I mean, you did get a bunch of us to listen to the Mountain Goats.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, like, so this is the thing, like, if I was trying to, like, get people to listen to the Mountain Goats, like, as just my general strategy, I tell them to start with the album The Sunset Tree, because that's the album that I listened to first, and I feel like it's a much more accessible album, and it's like a personal, it's sort of autobiographical, so all the songs on it are about his childhood and, like, growing up with an abusive stepfather, but, like, I don't know, this album seems more quintessential Mountain Goats. At any rate.
More earth tones or something.
Yeah, sure. That works. What's the next, now that we've...
Okay, well, first of all, did you read Who Censored Roger Rabbit?
No, I did not have a chance to read that.
Okay, well...
You own it on Kindle, though, which puts me ahead of most people, I'm sure.
Well, since I'm the only one who read that, Vincent was saying we should table that for next week.
Yeah, I do. That's on a list of things that I would like to read, and I don't know if I'll be able to get to it for next week, but it's...
It's worth reading, and it's pretty short. I think you could easily do it by next week.
That's true. I'm also in the middle of, like, 3 other books, is the thing. So if I finish...
Yeah, but you could bump this one ahead.
If I finish one of those, I'm likely to do a short one like that, but, it's, you know, I'm not going to derail my reading The Tombs of Achuan.
Well, yeah, I think you should.
The Tombs of Achuan is a really good novel. Everything by Ursula K. Le Guin's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll still be around.
Yeah, but... Okay, we don't need to get into my reading habits, I feel like.
Alright.
So what's the next...
Alright, the only other thing suggested was Kaibo's post, Trolling for Dollars.
Okay.
Now, who read that? And I should clarify again, I was suggesting just that one post, not every post on that webpage that has it.
Let me see. I'm pretty sure I've read it.
I read the whole page, so I read it, but I guess I'm not sure which one it was.
Like, reading the other ones isn't a problem, it's just that I don't really vouch for them. The other ones seem kind of...
It was the one where you explained what trolling is, right? And
yeah, the one with the 4 desired reactions.
Yeah, okay. I figured that's...
Yeah, I've read that one like a billion times. Okay.
Ah, that's right, you have. Alright, so among the people who read it, what did you get out of it? Was this a good suggestion? Discuss.
I refer back to it a lot, so yes. But I've already done that. I should let somebody else go first. Vincent.
My reaction to reading that was so personal that I don't think it's going to have much bearing on whether this is a good general suggestion or help other people, but I'm going to share what my reaction was to it anyway. It was kind of like
I got dropped from the call right when Vincent was about to start talking.
No, he didn't miss anything. Yeah,
I started talking yet.
Oh.
I was using several sentences to explain that I was about to start talking.
Oh, perfect.
It reminded me when I read that Leonard Richardson bit where he's talking about how it's acceptable in comedy, or only acceptable to hit upwards, you know, that you attack people
who are
The punching
privileged
up
ahead of you
thing.
or whatever. Yeah, the whole punching up thing, and how I thought that was ridiculous. That number one, that's not really how comedy works. That people laugh at jokes made about people that they see beneath them all the time. So if you're just talking about what is funny, then that doesn't work. And if you're talking about what you think is moral, then I think that's completely misses the point. I mean, if you're actually hurting someone's feelings, I don't think that it's some kind of defense or it makes what you say okay because they have social advantages or because they're rich or whatever your metric is for saying that you're punching up or when you're making fun of them. It seems that misses the point of when it's okay in comedy or when it's good in comedy to say things that are hurtful about other people or if it's ever okay or et cetera, et cetera. I just thought that was it was an immoral and incorrect post to have. And I had a similar reaction to reading this in that it really struck me that it seems really acceptable to do things that anger and annoy people on the basis of their being stupid when you wouldn't, like if you really phrased it like that, like you phrased it, oh, it's okay that I'm hurting this person's feelings, or it's okay that I'm upsetting them because they're stupid, they deserve it, it's their fault for being fooled by what I'm saying. But it strikes me that this is the same kind of sort of antisocial behavior, or it's the same kind of bullying behavior. It's the whole thing of it's still making fun of people, and it's still antagonizing other people, and then finding that antagonism funny. I can certainly, that's not really the point of the post. I think the point of the post was more about the idea of trolling being to push things and make them as ridiculous as you can and still have people believe them. And it wasn't really about, like, I think the way this Kibo person sees it, it's he might disagree that he wants anyone's feelings to be hurt or for them to be upset, although when he describes their reactions to things, I think he sort of is acknowledging that people do get worked up or upset about it. He does distinguish trolling from flame baiting, which I guess flame baiting would probably be a worse form of what I'm talking about here. But I still think it's sort of unavoidable that he does seem to be sort of relishing the idea of getting people worked up in a way that's not positive for them, in a way that is actually annoying and irritating them with what he's doing. And like I said, that's almost apart from the idea of whether this should be suggested. But that's what my reaction to it was. I do think it's a useful concept to. Oh, sorry. What?
Let me just break in for a second. Since that's sort of like a negative assessment of this style of interaction that he's describing, that you just gave, and the style of interaction that he's describing is one that Ben operates in a great deal of the time. Do you find it obnoxious when Ben does it?
I don't feel that. Well.
Okay, I should jump in here and say that I think this is an accurate assessment of the behavior being described here, and I would say that Kaibo is not a good person for doing this.
Wait,
okay.
Ben,
you know more about what Kaibo does than I do. I don't see much of Ben doing this stuff outside of our group, and if he does stuff like this in the group, it doesn't ever seem to be with the same. Like I wouldn't expect anyone in the group to be irritated at Ben or actually get worked up about it. So it's more of a pure joke, I guess, when it occurs in Sign-On. I will say that there are things that, like for instance, the sort of Wikipedia vandalism, I do think is kind of is a bad thing that you guys think is a funny thing to do. I kind of feel like that's kicking over people's sandcastles. They're trying to do something and you're kind of pissing on it because you can. But that's the only thing I can think of.
The Wikimedia Foundation has lots of money. That's punching up.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm gonna give an example though, Vincent, of Ben doing this within the group. So it's one of my favorite stories about Ben after the fact, but during it was one of the times when I was least enamored of Ben I've ever
Oh,
been.
is this when I stole your copy of Steal This Book?
No, that was also really annoying, and everything you did with Goofy Ben as your henchman was really annoying. But no, this is the time that Reed and you and I were driving in downtown Rochester to pick someone up from the bus station.
Yes.
And this was like pre-Google Maps all the time, so like this was like we had printed out MapQuest directions and we got lost. And Ben said, "Oh, I have an idea." And like so like we were like, "Oh, okay, what?" And he said, "If we search in an expanding spiral pattern, we will eventually find the bus station." Which is technically true, but like I wanted to hit him so hard. Let the record show I did not hit Ben on that occasion.
Let the record also show that we found the bus station.
Not by that strategy.
It would have worked.
As long as it was found, it's found.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think it was Ben's expectation, though, that you were going to be that upset by it?
No, I don't think Ben was trying. I don't know, Ben. Why don't we ask Ben what his expectation was?
There was some expectation of you being annoyed.
I mean, you do it a lot. I mean, it's it is our dynamic, and I have grown to love it. But like, yeah, that is
Daddy,
Ben. There's a form of button pushing that Ben likes to do that involves this, and they happen to be buttons that don't like escalate my rage actually, but like, it is needling of a certain sort.
I really just
Anyway,
thought he was just trying to make a joke.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, when Ben does what is, I guess he would consider trolling in the case of this this post, I always sort of recognize that as just, there's almost zero chance that anybody will believe that, and it doesn't upset me for having to have read an obvious lie that came from Ben, Like,
That is true. I try to make them obvious lies, but I still get amused when somebody believes them.
I believe everything you say, man.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Even after
keep
this
doing it.
conversation.
yeah. You got those very prolific words, and I'm sure I'm sure you tell the truth even when you lie.
I like to think so.
I refer to this post a lot.
I refer specifically to the
Right.
green socks bit.
or
Wait, Ben, is the particular post that you linked the one where he says that the goal is to get people to reveal that they're smart? Or is that later in the thread?
See, I think that was later in the thread. I think you're thinking of a different post by him. This does talk about counter trolls a bit, though.
Okay. So Kaibo's writing on trolling in general, I guess, I think is very worthwhile in referencing because people do it on the internet. It is distinct from, or at least it's a larger category than flame bait. And I think understanding the mindset of the people who do it is very useful. So, like, having this reference work is good in that regard.
And Lewis, you and I actually referenced this post not long ago on SuggestCast.
Well, you referenced it. Went along.
Yeah. Specifically, the idea that William Shatner owns 6 pairs of green socks isn't a good troll if he owns 7 pairs. The idea that a lie should be significantly different from the truth.
Right.
Which I do think is a valuable moral principle.
Yeah, 4.5 would be the good number.
you
That'd be
got
better.
Because it implies that he lost for one sock, and he's down a pair. William Shatner works in mysterious ways, though.
kick a man when he's down one whole sock.
Yeah. I mean, being down a pair isn't quite bad.
Waiting for an opening to get back to what I was. I think I totally derailed the conversation with a bunch of stuff that wasn't really related to why this is why it's a suggestion. The idea, I think, what stuck out to me here is the idea that you want to get as ridiculous as possible without people catching on that you're being deliberately ridiculous. And I think that's an important principle that you see used in other places. Like, say, for instance, when Ali G does his stuff, when he's interviewing someone, I think that's largely his goal. When he's Borat or whoever, is he wants to go as far and be as ridiculous as he can be without the people he's interacting with catching on to the fact that it's an act. And
exactly, and when it seems too plausible to them at first, he'll escalate gradually.
Yeah. And yeah, he does a very good job with that. Pushes it further than you think you'd be able to do. But see, Ali G has that problem too sometimes where I watch him and I feel like he crossed the line where he's not just being funny and he's actually is hurting the people that he's talking to. Although Ali G, we're not talking about Ali G, I'll let that go. We also had the same principle, and it was explicitly phrased. I hadn't read this thing before or seen Ali G, but we had the same explicit principle behind the radio show I did in college where we would make up fake news stories and do fake interviews with people where my goal was to make it as insane as possible but without letting people know that it was fake, or at least always bringing them back to having some doubt. And so you'd throw out something a little insane, but then you'd try to justify it to make it seem like it's not that crazy, and then once you feel like you've made that plausible, then you move on to the next thing to make it crazier.
Now,
So I think that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, would your assessment of this post as a reference point change if I revealed to you that Ben is actually Kaibo?
No, I don't think that would change anything.
Unless he declared that he was Kaibo.
I would have been 12 years old when this post was written.
You were advanced for your age.
I don't see why a 12-year-old couldn't write that. One of the biggest barriers, I think, towards this being a suggestion is just that it's short enough that you could just refer someone to it and have them read it or explain it briefly. Like, the idea, I think, behind the suggestions is for them to be something that, well, maybe we didn't really carry that too deeply in here. Initially, it was things that you want to refer to that are a little too big or expansive for you to simply provide someone a quick link to or explain in the middle of a conversation that you'd want to have read or experienced them ahead of time. And I don't know that this post really meets that definition because you could just go read it in like 30 seconds.
Well, part of my motive in suggesting something very short here was that this came right after I had suggested a 300-page novel.
Yeah,
And I met with some resistance.
Yeah, I was there. Those were the days, and you decided, hey, why don't I just suggest something that means something to me, and it's kind of short, and you can even kind of skim it and kind of get a gist of what it is, and it still means some sort of importance to you. Yeah.
I could have suggested like all of Kaibo's Usenet posts from June 1997, but that might have also been novel length.
Yeah.
Also, most of it would be kind of pointless to read.
Sure you find something in there. Anyway, I think I'll give it a thumbs up just on that case.
All right, Matt.
I guess I can't really recommend it.
Can you suggest it though?
I mean, I can't suggest it.
Actually,
Yeah, I've already suggested it.
yeah.
I can't give it a thumbs up.
All right.
Vincent.
I'm going to give it a thumbs down, although I think it's a useful point of reference, the idea of, going as far as you can. Like I said, I think it's simple enough that there's no real reason. Number one, I don't think you have to refer someone to this post to do that. I think you can simply state it in, just a sentence or, just one sentence. And
Yeah.
even if you did want to refer someone to it, you could do it at any point. They could just look at it for a little bit and read it. So, I got to give it a thumbs down as a suggestion.
Yeah, I guess you could just say to somebody, that's like saying William Shatner has 6 pairs of green socks, and they'd get what you mean.
And was that sarcasm?
Yes.
I don't care about the William Shatner thing.
William Shatner is fundamental to this.
Well, then I'm rejecting it on other grounds as well.
I'm giving it a thumbs up because I like it, and I think it is worth having people read like a mini manifesto on trolling written by a troll. So I guess it scores a net 3/5 or whatever. Oh, Ben, what's your vote?
Oh, I'm giving it a thumbs up because it's something that I do like referring back to a lot, and people aren't as familiar with it as they could be.
That's true. People could be more familiar with it.
It is true that it's not a hard thing to make people familiar with.
Right.
Well, it passes muster then. It is a suggestion.
All right.
So, is it time for new suggestions then?
Pretty much.
Barry, you're up first.
Who's up first?
Barry.
Oh,
Okay.
that's right. So I am. I thought I might have heard another name. Okay. So all right. I propose. As I say, I was going to suggest something from the Internet Archive, and I'd point to it, but pretty much you can go to like the Internet Archive and then just press Control R and reload, and you got a whole other world in front of you in 4 different categories. So I'm just going to say I suggest one of those categories in whatever you want, and then whatever you find, if it's interesting, say something about it. Otherwise, you just reload it again, and that's it.
Okay. So Barry's suggestion is to go to the Internet Archive and reload it and see what you want to see.
Okay. Reload the Internet Archive. Lewis?
No, Ben, you're up next.
All right. I'm going to suggest the webcomic Triangle and Robert, but you don't need to read the whole thing. The archives are pretty long. What I want you to do specifically is start at the beginning, read forward from there, and when you feel like you want to stop, then skip ahead to a sequence near the end that'll give you a link for, and then read that. So you can go through the archives as long as you want. When you feel like you don't want to do that anymore, go read the ending, and that's it.
Okay. Matt?
Oh, though I should say, if you read like 2 strips and feel like you just want to stop right there, keep going a little bit more at least.
Okay. So good faith effort at reading the archives for a bit, then skip to the end that Ben will link to.
Yes.
Matt?
I want to suggest the television series Snuff Box, at least the first episode. It's a British comedy, and I'm not sure if it's available on American Netflix, but I know it is available in British Netflix, which you can easily access with a Firefox plugin called Hola that lets you change your country of origin.
Okay.
Alright.
So Snuff Box, at least the first episode.
Yes.
I take it Vincent is letting his suggestion ride. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
And I'm going to suggest a YouTube video. Hang on, let me just real quickly make sure it's still on there. A YouTube video in which someone gets 99 lives in Super Mario Brothers in like 5 minutes or something. It might be like 11 minutes, I don't remember. And then also a machine-translated statement that they made about it afterwards when people discovered that it was made with an emulator instead of like a legitimate playthrough.
You mean it was tool assisted?
Yes.
Okay.
Tool system is the best.
Unbelievably, I think I may have read this before. I can't tell you why. Maybe Lewis linked it before.
I don't know that I linked it before, but I guess we'll find out.
If not, I find it incredible that I stumbled upon the same thing. Maybe it was big out there at some point.
And Lewis, you can provide links to this?
I'm going to paste bin. I found a site that has the machine translation, but also some other stuff. So I'm just going to paste bin it, and I'll give you the paste bin link.
All right.
Translation. And then I'm going to find the link to the video if I can. And if I can't find that, then you'll just have to read the machine translation out of context. So the real recommendation is the machine translated text, but I think it works better if you have in fact seen the video.
And it's about a Mario speedrun?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was a speedrun in particular, or if the idea was if you bounce on enough enemies in a row, you gain lives. And so I think it was like it was a speedrun for getting to 99 lives, I think. But it might have also been a speedrun of the thing. It's been a while since I watched it.
I'll just call it a Mario video in the description.
Sure, that sounds good.
I concur.
Mario TAS.
Alright, and Who Censored Roger Rabbit is still a suggestion for next time. And I will agree with Vincent that you guys should read it. I may or may not give it a thumbs up next episode, I'm not sure, but it at least deserves our consideration.
Okay.
Are you poisoning the well here? What's going on?
No, I'm telling you should actually read it.
Okay.
But that's not a thumbs up, thumbs down vote now, since I can't give those at this point. That would be out of order.
Right.
US.
Alright, so thanks for suggesting. We're the Synod.